Every great dream begins with a dreamer.
There was not a seat at the table for someone like myself, and as a result, I decided to create my own table.
You may encounter many defeats, but you must not be defeated.
It wouldn't be worth it if it was easy.
Dare to be a catalyst for change.
At the time, there were no black perfumers. There were no black-owned brands in these like high-end luxury department stores.
History has shown us that courage can be contagious.
I do get to contribute to the aesthetic so that we can get more diversity around even what these female superheroes look like.
This is a PIX11 news special honoring Black history, sharing our stories.
Thank you for joining us for this PIX11 news special honoring Black history, sharing our stories. I'm Erin LeBeau. In Black History Month's path, we have highlighted the stories of prominent African American figures who have made a huge impact on the world as we know it today. But tonight, we are sharing the stories of community champions across the tri-state that are blazing a new trail. From fighting systemic racism to conquering the business world, these individuals are breaking barriers against incredible odds. They've turned their obstacles into opportunity and found hope in hardships. We begin with a group that's helping Black pilots get their wings. Bessie Coleman was actually the first Black woman in the U.S. to become a pilot. She had dreams of opening her own flight school to make flying more accessible to women and people of color. Well, now the president of the New York Metro Black Pilots of America is making Bessie's dream a reality.
Pre-flight inspection is very important. We're checking the overall condition of the wing, and we're going to get to the fuel tank. We're going to check the fuel tank.
At the age of 15, Ewart Campbell has his eyes set on the sky.
From an early age, every time that I looked in the sky, saw a plane, I just said, I want to be that person flying that.
He's one of many who are learning the ins and outs of flying.
So that represents the sky, right? And on the bottom, this is going to represent the ground.
From
right?
Brian Worthington.
Echo, good. Echo airspace, right? So Echo airspace would be an airport that goes all the way to the ground.
In order to become pilots.
Now, can you take all of this information and bring it onto the chart? Because this is where it really matters, right?
Brian is the president of the local chapter of the Black Pilots of America, the New York Metro Black Pilots of America.
We are here to produce pilots. 100% we are here to produce pilots.
Got the cutter pin and look for the brakes.
Brakes are good.
It's a nonprofit organization that works to increase aviation opportunities. People of color and those from underprivileged communities.
One of the problems with aviation, at least for us, is that it's not affordable.
You're not riding the brakes, that's real good.
It's expensive to own a plane. It's expensive to operate a plane.
Start pulling back.
Okay. But there's ways that we can actually make it affordable. So that's my job, to get that information out there so we can get more people that look like us in the cockpit.
According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, only about 3% of pilots are Black, and even fewer are women.
A lot of times, young girls don't really see this as an avenue for them to go as far as a career.
Aneka Jeffers is hoping to change that, which is why she's taking flying lessons.
I'm really happy that it exists, and I definitely like to help in any way that I can to open up the doors for younger people coming behind me.
We're going to check out our flaps.
And Brian's taking them under his wing in order for them to find their bearings and take flight,
On the visual for runway 19.
including many kids from the city for the first time.
Now, when they go in, of course they are scared. You know, this is the first time they ever doing something like this. So they're petrified. But by the time they come out, they feel like they can conquer the world.
The NYMBPA is committed to honoring the legacy of the Tuskegee Airmen, the first Black military pilots who fought in World War II.
The Tuskegee Airmen is very important. Without them, it will be no us. You know what this line is?
And also preparing the next generation of aviation enthusiasts.
I know you said you can go to any school, they can teach you to fly, but for you guys, it's really about creating a community. Why is that important?
So it's important because you want somebody that's going to fly, but somebody that's always going to come back, and somebody that can show you where they've been.
Looking good, my man.
Where they've been, but also where they can go.
I love it so much, and I want to see everybody do whatever it is that you want to do in aviation. So that's what New York Metro Black Pilots of America is all about.
For Ewer, that's helping him get one step closer to fulfilling his dream of becoming a commercial pilot.
It's a very different perspective because we've been on the ground our whole entire lives. Being up in the air is completely different, and seeing the world from a different view is a very nice experience.
So that was good, man. You really did a good job.
We continue to celebrate Black History Month with a look at the fragrance world. Star Harvey shares how one Harlem entrepreneur is the first African-American perfumer now featured in major retailers.
I remember smelling Obsession for Men and I was like blown away. So I was like, I gotta figure out how to get this. So my mom helped me get a job. I was working my little job at a deli in the mall. And as soon as I got my first paycheck, I ran right to the store and bought Obsession for Men. So that was the first ever fragrance I ever bought.
Although his taste has changed since childhood, Chris Collins' obsession with fragrance has not.
I love my tequilas, I love my fragrance, I love my fashion. I guess you could just call me Renaissance man.
This Renaissance man began his career in fashion, working for Ralph Lauren, becoming the face of the brand for nearly 20 years.
The next step in my life was always in front of me. I just didn't realize that it was there until I met a perfumer who actually taught me the whole world of fragrance. And I learned all about the business, moved to France, lived in Grasse for a little bit, learned the whole kind of creative process. It took a lot of work. At the time, there were no Black perfumers. There were no Black-owned brands in these like high-end luxury department stores. So it took more than just having an obsession. It's become so diverse now, and that's a good thing because every different person of every different culture, of every different race, of every different sex has their own story. And that's the one thing that kind of differentiates my fragrances from any other one is the story.
And while visiting his World of Chris Collins studio in Harlem, the proud perfumer shared a few scents from his own collection with me.
These are the first 3 fragrances I launched. The first one I'm gonna let you smell is called Harlem Nights. Harlem Nights was, my idea was to kind of create what I thought what a Harlem speakeasy would smell like in the 1920s. This one is called Renaissance. Don Sauvage, very special fragrance, which tells the story of Josephine Baker in the 1920s, Paris.
I think this may be my favorite. I see something in a white bottle here.
Yes.
What's this one about?
Okay, this is Lost in Paradise.
Releasing 2 fragrances a year, Chris has plans to continue to grow the business. But the satisfaction now is what he's been able to achieve.
My brand is next to like the Tom Fords and like the Creeds and and when I came into the business, the goal was never to be like the best Black-owned brand, the goal was to be the best brand.
He spent years behind bars for a crime he didn't commit.
33 years ago, I was run over by the spike wheels of justice.
Now, Yusef Salaam, a member of the Exonerated Five, is on a mission to change the criminal justice system.
It's a case that captured the attention of the nation. In 1989, police found a 28-year-old white woman in New York Central Park, covered in blood and nearly dead after a brutal sexual attack. 5 Black and Latino teens were wrongfully convicted of her attack, one of them Yusef Salaam. After a long legal battle to prove his innocence, Salaam was exonerated in 2002, more than a decade after his conviction. Well, now he's running for public office to tackle the city's criminal legal system. Here's Ayanna Harry.
Many of us may have lost faith. Many of us gave up on the system.
Yusef Salaam knows what it's like to feel vulnerable and voiceless.
33 years ago, I was run over by the spike wheels of justice.
At just 15 years old, Salaam found himself under arrest and at the center of one of the most notorious cases in New York City history.
Of the Central Park driver case.
Salaam and 4 other teen suspects became known as the Central Park Five. Salaam spent 7 years in prison for a brutal rape, assault, and attempted murder that he did not commit.
People who became politicians like Donald Trump. He said, no, these guys are guilty. Matter of fact, we should bring back the death penalty put a bounty on our heads.
After a lengthy legal fight, the five were exonerated in 2002. Today, Salam is a husband and father of 10, an author, and an advocate for criminal justice reform.
You should not rush to judge.
And in an exclusive interview with PIX11, Yusuf Salam opened up about the next chapter in his story. He's running for public office.
When you're called, you have to come. You can't say, I didn't hear the call, and I've been called for a long time.
Salam is in the race to represent Central Harlem in the city council. The Democratic primary is in June. He's running against the current council member, Kristen Richardson Jordan, and longtime Harlem leaders, Assemblymember Al Taylor and Assemblymember Inez Dickens.
It's a little crowded, but, it wouldn't be worth it if it wasn't. It wouldn't be worth it if it was easy.
Born and raised here in Harlem.
Thank you, my brother. I really
that's how we do it.
Salam is clear on the change he wants to see in this community.
A big platform that I'm running on is making sure that the budget is pushed in such a way that we benefit more.
He's also campaigning on issues of public safety and affordable housing.
For people who live in Harlem to be able to have the ability to stay here.
For many years, Salam didn't trust New York City politics, but now he believes his life experience would add a unique perspective to the city council.
Who better than a person who's been affected by the system to have a seat at the table?
It's a Black-owned business run by women for women.
We believe that the future is female and it's being fueled by Black Girl Magic.
How this successful entrepreneur built a thriving lifestyle brand out of a simple passion.
A Brooklyn business owner has turned her love for writing into a successful business. She says her inspiration, Black Girl Magic. Stacey Ann Gooden introduces us to the creator of Effie's Paper.
Well, we like to call Black History Month Black Girl Magic Month because we believe that the future is female and it's being fueled by Black Girl Magic.
And Kaylin Johnson Chandler's future is bright. As a child, her grandmother encouraged her to write thank you notes.
My grandmother worked for a greeting card company when my sister and I were little, and we had a cabinet in her family room filled with stationery, and we wrote thank you notes on the weekends and practiced our penmanship.
Fast forward to the summer of 2010 when she came across stationery she didn't like. That moment inspired her to create Effie's Paper stationery and whatnot in honor of her grandmother.
In that moment when I had this paper in front of me and I didn't love anything but what I had art directed, I just had my aha moment.
After starting the business in her living room, Kaylin moved into this 132 square foot office in downtown Brooklyn. But the size of this small space pales in comparison to the revenue size she's accomplished over the years with her 11 female staff members.
We had an opportunity to design and manufacture an exclusive collection of notebooks for Walmart, and we were in 200 stores around the country.
This lifestyle brand features all kinds of accessories and stationaries, from pens, you got headbands, socks, coffee mugs, but her top seller, notebooks.
Our bucket list collection, so
that when you do travel to these
Exactly.
locations,
you can write about it in your notebook.
Since 2020, revenue has doubled. Kaylin says her goal is to continue to grow her business and hopes to inspire others to follow their dreams.
As a little girl, I didn't see stationery store owners who looked like me. I didn't see stationery products that reflected me, that spoke to me in the way that I hope our products speak to those same young girls and women.
Thousands of captivating art pieces telling the complex story of slavery and the continued progression toward freedom.
The collection was a combination of things from Africa, but mainly things from America.
The treasured African American Art Museum in New Jersey that's attracting tourists from all over, including some Hollywood stars.
Welcome back. The African American Heritage Museum in southern New Jersey has captured the attention of many, including celebrities like Whoopi Goldberg. Tonight, the founder, a noted historian, shares his impressive collection of what he describes as legacy and culture through art.
From outside the African American Museum of Southern New Jersey, your eyes are drawn to contemporary memorabilia depicting the life and times of Black Americans. Once inside, there are stories layers deep of our ancestors, the museum's founder says, interpreted through art.
It came from a piece of wood, and he's telling a story about someone in slavery. But he didn't put the chains around their ankles, didn't put it around their arms or around their waist. He has a chain hanging to the side. So they're free to go now. And you can see how the hands are together as a prayer is being asked for.
Ralph Hunter Sr., a Philadelphia native, moved to Atlantic City for a summer job in the 1950s. He's amassed a collection of 13,000 pieces of art and memorabilia over a 45-year period.
So the collection was a combination of things from Africa, but mainly things from America, from the South, from where the areas were segregated, where African Americans were looked upon as a stereotype. The Aunt Jemima thing was a stereotype. The Little Black Sambo, Bojangles, all of these different figures were people looking down on African American and made them subhuman people.
He's now using those items that speak to those stereotypes as a learning tool.
And those are the things I wanted to buy and get off of the market. If I owned them, someone who had no respect for the item could not have it. So I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars over the past 45 years on this collection.
Why do these stories need to be told?
It's important because so many people don't learn these things in school. They'll look at a person like the African American police officer. They'll look at a person like Chalky White, who were part of the Boardwalk Empire. They'll look at different people and they'll have a different understanding of that. They've seen the Aunt Jemima, they've seen these things, but do they know really how it got started or why it was started? And that's the story I want to share with them when they come to our museums.
Conquering the comic industry.
The feedback is like, hey, we want to see some African mythology in these comic stories.
The acclaimed author and professor that's breaking cultural barriers for women of color in comics. That's next.
And finally tonight, Marvel has released a new addition to its comics anthology series, Marvel's Voices, Wakanda Forever. 5 new stories written by Black scholars, one of which is a Rider University professor, Dr. Sheena Howard. James Ford spoke to her about how this all came about.
I am queen of the most powerful nation in the world!
It's made close to $1 billion at the box office and in streaming sales, has been nominated for 5 Academy Awards, and now Wakanda Forever continues to forge new ground with a newly released comic in the Black Panther series.
For me, it feels like a natural progression to finally write for Marvel.
Dr. Sheena Howard wrote one of the stories in the new Wakanda Forever series, but it's by no means the first publication for this professor at Rider University.
Since the end of the Civil War, this institution has had a strong tradition of academic publication. Professor Howard continues that tradition.
She's written various academic books about Black comics, and now
I've been writing comics since 2017. I did reach out to Marvel like a year ago, and then they finally hit me up and was like, hey, we have this anthology, we want you to write a story.
Her story is about an aspiring member of the Dora Milaje, the all-female warrior protectors of Wakanda.
The young Dora Milaje has locks, like me, and she's dark-skinned, and so sometimes I do get to contribute to the aesthetic so that we can get more diversity around even what these female superheroes look like. The feedback that I've been getting over the years from the African American community is like, hey, we want to see some African mythology in these comic stories.
So in this new volume is this character called Anansi, a spider figure of West African folklore who uses brainpower to overcome enormous challenges, just like the Dora Milaje character Howard created.
Her fighting ability is not always going to win the fight, but she also has to use her intellect.
Howard is a Black female academic writing in a medium that doesn't have a lot of people that are like her. Being unique, she says, helps her work stand out.
So when I go to write my stories, I'm always thinking about what can I add that's going to be different? What can I add to Marvel and DC that hasn't been done before?
Thank you for joining us for this PIX11 News special honoring Black history, sharing our stories. I'm Erin LeBeau. Have a great night.